Green Lantern Corps number 5, written by Peter Tomasi, art by Fernando Pasarin. We left off last issue with the Martian Manhunter showing up, doing some telepathic interrogation on one of the Keepers, and telling Guy that they're all showing up to Oa to steal the central power battery. This issue picks up with Guy meeting up with Kilowog, who's training some newbies, and saying, "Hey, Kilowog, I need a list of the biggest, baddest Green Lantern members there are. Quote, the toughest sons of bitches in the Corps." And Kilowog's like, "All right, well, I got some guys. They're called the Mean Machine." And he's like, "I thought they were all dead." And Kilowog's like, "Nah, a couple of them are still hanging around. They actually go to Warriors, which is Guy's bar." And he's like, I think I remember seeing these guys if they were in my bar." And he's like, "Well, they don't go to your bar exactly. They made a new bar underneath your bar. So, yeah." And Guy's like, "All right, cool." So he flies off, goes to his bar. And after, I guess, some cameos from characters that I'm supposed to know if I knew Green Lantern history, he finds a hole in the basement of the bar that leads to this underground, dingy, dark-looking bar where we meet Lee, Bronchuk, Aldo, and Flint. And he's like, "Hey guys, what are you doing under my bar?" And he's like, "What do you're over top of our bar." But yeah, we do appreciate the free alcohol, so thanks. And we see these guys are older, they're a little bit more washed up, but they still got the fighting spirit to them. And Guy lets them in on the situation. He's like, "Look, there are these guys named the Keepers. They got some hostages, and they have to be stopped. They're immune to Green Lantern energy, so I need tough people." And he's like, "You want some old guys who no one's going to miss?" He's like, "No, I want somebody who's going to bring the pain. You guys in?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're in." So then we cut back, and the Mean Machine is meeting up with the other Green Lanterns who were also on the previous mission. And Martian Manhunter's there. And nobody's really seeing eye to eye. Everyone's just kind of like, "Oh, you think you're so tough? What makes you so tough?" And blah, blah, blah. They're all just up on each other. And Guy basically gets in the middle like, "Hey, we got a mission. Cool your jets. I don't care if you guys are pissed at each other for whatever reason. Just get over it." And then Martian Manhunter gives the history of the Keepers. And basically, the Green Lantern Corps, Green Lantern members, had a problem where their batteries were running out of energy at critical moments. So they had to get a way to get their power batteries in the middle of the fight, possibly over huge distances of space. And the Guardians of the Universe went and found a planet that I don't know if it had a name, Urak, that reacted well with the power batteries, such that when they were like planted in the ground, they were able to be teleported like across massive distances of space. And while the planet itself worked well, the people on the planet were like dying because there was no food and no crops, and it was just a bad place to live. So the Guardians made a deal with them of, as long as they tended to these lanterns, kept them protected and safe, and did everything they needed to do, the Guardians would provide for them in perpetuity. And that's why they were called the Keepers. They were keeping the lanterns. And it was a good symbiotic relationship. The lanterns cause the crops to grow better. It was an energy source and made things good. And in time, it imbued the Keepers with this natural willpower. But then one day the Guardians showed up and were just like, "Okay, well, enough of that." And they took all the lanterns back and they just left. And as such, they weren't caring for the planet anymore. And so they got pissed as their planet began to die. So that's basically Martian Manhunter's like, "Okay, I've told you all I needed to. Goodbye." And he fades away. And Guy's like, "All right, so how do we get past some people who have a natural resistance to our willpower?" And they talk for a while and basically come up with the idea of, we need to instill fear in them in order to overcome their natural willpower. And as such, I think one of the Mean Machine makes the suggestion of, we need some kind of fear bomb and guns. Lots of guns. And Guy Gardner's like, "I like the sound of that." So then we cut back to Urak, the planet of the Keepers. The Corps that was taken hostage is being tortured by, I guess, the leader of the Keepers. And they're just like, "Wow, all right, so you guys want to do what I say now?" And they're like, "No, we're still Green Lantern Corps members with willpower." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." And John basically, he drops for a second that the Guardians did something, and John's like, "What are you talking about? What did the Guardians do?" And the King loses his cool for a second, but he's like, "Nope, I'm not going to go through that story. Just know that they did a lot. And my entire goal, my big final thing, now that we've taken all these resources from all these other planets, is I'm going to go through the entire core. I'm going to cut off each of their ring fingers, and I'm going to plant them in the holes that used to hold the lanterns. And only then will I rip the power battery out and set it on this planet so that we may be the center of the universe. But first things first, I need you guys to tell me how to get through the force field around Oa without alerting them. Your rings know that. All you got to do is ask them. So ask them. And John's like, no. And he's like, cool. Zap. Tortures them some more. So then we go to the science cells, which are like the prison cells underneath of Oa. Guy Gardner wants to take out 2 Yellow Lantern Corps members who have just this natural predisposition to just spread fear everywhere. Like biologically, it is within their being of just wreaking a scent of fear. And Guy's like, cool. They're creepy. They're named Fat Man and Little Boy. And he's like, yep, I will take these 2 to go. Put them in a doggy bag. So then they are taking a interceptor ship, which is, instead of just flying there, it's an actual ship. And he's like, well, we're conserving ring power, and we are taking along a special payload. And Sarlacc, I think his name is, Sarlacc, he's pissed off because like, oh, you don't need to do this. It's against protocol to take the Yellow Lanterns out of science cells. And everyone just kind of gangs up on Sarlacc for a second. He's like, Sarlacc, you suck so much. Just let us do our job, for God's sakes. And Sarlacc's like, I guess, all right, fine, do whatever. So then we cut to a pirate ship that is about to try to make a deal to sell some weapons, but then double cross them. And they're literally saying this out loud. And then as soon as the buyers show up, they immediately turn tail as the Green Lantern Corps just comes in and wrecks shop. Like they're just tearing this ship apart, looking for something. And as they finally manage to beat up all the pirates and get down into the holding cells, they find what they're looking for, which is a lot of guns. So then we get this final page of everybody who's going in on this mission, the Meme Machine, Guy Gardner, and all the other Lanterns from before. Just head to toe, like 90s style, just guns everywhere. And he's like, all right, let's do this. And that's where we leave. I like this. I like the backstory of the Keepers. I think it's a very well done. It's a nice story. I'm assuming that there was something in Jeff Johns' story, or possibly just within history, that made sense as to why the Guardians took all the Lanterns. I'm just accepting that as a thing now. Art-wise, it's fine. I still don't understand why we had to have Martian Manhunter just pop in and be like, hello, I'm here to give you information, when at the same time they've made it clear that there are telepath Lanterns on the planet. I don't know. I feel like that was just writing for the sake of like, hey guys, can we have like 7 different books all have Martian Manhunter pop up? Because it's been quite a few. I'm okay with the whole setup for the plan. It just seems like corny fun, if I'm going to be honest. It just seems like they're just like, all right, we're just going to go in and, do a whole big thing. Like, it's just going to be fun. So, no, I'm okay with that. I'm going to give this one a 7. I think it's good. I think that there are still some issues, mainly just in terms of, like, the hostage thing. Mostly, it just doesn't really flow. Like, it's just 2 to 3 pages out of this whole thing. And it's like, all right, well, we're just here to remind you that these characters are being tortured. They are being tortured, and that is crucial to remember. It's like, yeah, we know they are. That's been the rest of this book. So no, overall, though, 7, it's still very well done. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it wraps up. I think we got like 1 or 2 more issues left in this arc, but the Guardians just suck.